Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Before we read, let's invoke the blessing of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuvaivucha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ishvara Parama Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha सर्व कारण कारणम। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we have been reading from the book Trinadapi Sunichena by Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj. Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj ki jai. So we are at the chapter Give Up Pride to Develop Krishna Prem, page number 152. Next section. The gopis forgot all worldly concerns. Saying this, they become ecstatic, completely absorbed in the memory of Krishna and nothing else. At that time, they could not consider what was good or what was bad, and what was auspicious and what was inauspicious. They forgot everything. Iti gopyo hi govinde गतावक्काय मनः कृष्ण दूते समायते उद्धवे त्यक्त्वा लौकिकाः. Quote, the gopis whose worlds, body, minds were fully dedicated to Lord Govinda put aside all their regular work now that Krishna's messenger Sri Uddhava had arrived among them. Although Uddhava was a stranger, a newcomer in Vrajabhumi, the gopis felt no shame discussing all this before him. They were not discriminating. Oh, he is a stranger, a new person here. What will he think of us? They had no such thoughts. Gopis are always speaking about Krishna and the love they have developed for him. They are continually crying and saying, quote, Ha Krishna, Ha Vrajanand, Vrajanatha, Ha Gopijana Vallabha, Ha Artanasha, O Krishna, O Lord of Vraja, O dearmost of gopis, O destroyer of distress, crying, and saying this, they all stood up and looked in the direction of Mathura. Raising their hands in air with painful hearts, they said, O Vraja Prana, life of Vraja, please come here just once more and see the condition of everyone here. From our very birth, we have always loved you. We do not know anyone but you. Now we are drowning in this ocean of separation, Viraha. Please come once more to Vrajabhumi and give us your lotus feet, which are like a boat for us to cross over this ocean of Viraha. They spoke like this right in front of Uddhava. They never thought, he is a stranger. What will he think? They were Tyakta Lokikaha. They had completely forgotten all worldly concerns. They have put aside their shame, lajja, and were always thinking of Krishna's sweet leelas in Vraja. Next, Uddhava condemns himself. Gayantaha priya karmani rudantyascha gata hriya तस्य समृत्य समृत्य yani Kashora Bala Yoha. Constantly remembering the activities their beloved Krishna had performed in his childhood and youth, gopis sang about them and cried without shame. The gopis were remembering and talking about Krishna's Kashora Balayoha, his youthful pastimes. They were crying. When Uddhava saw this, he thought, what love they have for Krishna! I have no such love. I am bereft of this love. I was thinking I am great, I am very dear to Krishna, I am a great Jnani, but what love they have! He condemned himself, but at the same time he also said, quote, Krishna has sent me here to Vrajabhumi. Why has he shown such mercy to me? My life is successful now, seeing the gopis here. At that time, in his heart, Uddhava started saying, Vande Nandavraja Padarenum Abhikrishnanaha Yasam Hari Kathodikatam Punati Bhuvana Treyam. Quote, I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of women of Nanda Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Shri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. In his mind, Uddhava offered obeisances at the lotus feet of themselves of Vrajbhumi and sought the dust from their lotus feet. Yasam Hari Katho Gitam Punati Bhuvan Trayam. The Hari Katha that is coming out from the lips of gopis will purify three planetary systems. Quote, I want to get some dust from their feet and put it as an ornament on my head. Unless I do so, my life is useless. My life is dry because I only have dry knowledge with no mellow or rasa. If I can get some dust from their lotus feet, then my life will be successful. Next, Radharani is Madan Kaya Mahabhava Mai. Then Uddhava met Srimati Radharani. Radharani was feeling intense separation and had become completely mad. She was in dying condition, but death was not coming to her. Radharani had developed some anger, some sulkiness. That mood is known as Madan Khaya Mahabhava, and Radharani is Madan Khaya Mahabhava Mai, the personification of Madan Khaya Mahabhava. On the pretext of speaking to a bumblebee, in her anger, Radharani was speaking harsh words of love to Krishna. That is known as Brahmara Gita, the song of the bumblebee. After some time, Radharani started to become pacified. Next, no words to console the gopis. Uddhava was just standing there listening to everything Radharani was saying. Seeing that Radharani's anger and sulkiness had been pacified a little, Uddhava tried to come closer to her. Hearing and seeing the love that Radharani had for Krishna, Uddhava said, Aho, Aho. He was amazed. Aho, Aho. Such love? Such love? She's always crying for Krishna? What is my duty here? I have come to consolation to the gopis. I have come to give consolation to the gopis. But in whole world, I cannot find words that would be able to console them. What consolation can I give them? They have developed such pure love towards Krishna. Previously, I thought if someone is lamenting for having lost something material, we may offer consolation by saying, quote, this is material, temporary, subject to destruction and death. Give up crying and develop your eternal relationship with the Lord. With these words, we may offer some consolation to an ordinary person. But what can I tell the gopis? In the entire world, I cannot find any language to express consolation to them. They are crying for Krishna. How can I say, don't cry for Krishna? How can I say so? If I say, don't cry for Krishna, it will be a great offense. It is supreme Purushartha, the supreme goal of life, to develop Krishna Prem and to cry for Krishna. That is to be achieved. And damsels of Rajbhumi have obtained it. I, Uddhava, have not obtained it. Thus my life is useless. Thinking in this way, Uddhava condemned himself. How can I say, don't cry? Rather, something in me prompts me to tell them, cry more, cry more, cry more. How can I tell them, don't cry? So beautiful. Next, the gopis are completely surrendered. Finally, Uddhava had just glorified them. O gopis, themselves of Rajabhumi, you are incomparable. You have developed such a loving mood towards Krishna. There is no comparison with them. Krishna Prema is supreme Paramartha, the supreme goal. It is Panchama Purushartha, the fifth and topmost Purushartha. Many yogis, munis, and sadhakas have practiced sadhana for hundreds and thousands of years, and some even for many, many lives. Still, they cannot develop this Krishna Prem, but you have developed it completely. Your whole existence, your entire bodies are made out of Krishna Prem. Therefore, everyone throughout the three worlds worship you. Everyone worships Krishna Prem, although practically no one can attain it. You have developed this Prem and have completely surrendered. Sarva dharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. The gopis are examples of complete surrender. They have given up all dharmas, even Veda dharma, Vedic etiquette, Vedic regulations. Their surrender is based on pure love. Unless you develop such love, your surrender is not complete. And it will either be artificial, partial, or conditional. Without prema, it is not true surrender. So we'll stop here and then read tomorrow. Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj ki jai. So next we'll read Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. And we have been reading from volume 6. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Tamal Krishna. His Holiness Sat Swarup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. So we are at April 11. Let me see. We are at page number 20. Tom Buderi had moved from Santa Cruz to Los Angeles, and by associating with devotees like Rameshwara and other book distributors, he soon became a leader. He was initiated in June 1972 and received the name Tripurari Das. Every day he would go to a supermarket parking lot near the temple and sell a couple hundred copies of Easy Journey to Other Planets. One evening at the University of California at Long Beach, he and few other book distributors dropped in on a lecture given by a popular yoga leader, Rameshwara. I remember when they came back, it was the middle of Bhagavad Gita class, and I was giving the class in the temple room. All of a sudden, the door burst open, and they were standing there. Tripurari was in his street clothes, and girls were in their saris. They just ran into the temple. You could see that something very special had taken place. Because their faces were glowing, they could not even speak. They were dazed or stunned. The whole temple was anxious to hear the news, so I quickly finished the class. Then Tripurari who told us that he had just distributed 17 Bhagavad Gitas, the full, hardbound, unabridged Bhagavad Gitas, in 2 hours. Leela Shakti had distributed 13. Vrindavana had distributed 11. Tilaka had distributed 11. And Makhan Lal had distributed 9. Nothing like this had ever been done before. We were all completely astonished that anyone could sell so many big books like that. One morning, a few days later, Tripurari was driving down the San Diego freeway to go on traveling Sankirtana when he saw the sign for the Los Angeles airport and spontaneously decided to try it. After selling a dozen big books that day, he realized the airport was wonderful for book distribution. He started going out regularly to the airport and was soon distributing 30 to 40 books a day, sometimes giving individuals as many as 6 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam at once. Next, April 11, 1973. Srila Prabhupada flew from New York to Los Angeles, and a crowd of loving devotees greeted him. Tripurari. Prabhupada was arriving at 2 in afternoon, and all the devotees were going to meet him. But it was also Easter weekend and a big day for book distribution at the airport. At that time, I was only one working the airport. I was doing rather well and had sold about 30 books by 1:30. Then I changed into my dhoti and walked over to the arrivals area to meet His Divine Grace. When he entered the terminal building, he looked at me and smiled, and I melted in ecstasy. We had Kirtana all the way downstairs. When we got outside, all the devotees were going back to temple. Then I thought, what business do I have going back to the temple and chanting with all devotees? My business is to stay out and distribute the books. That is my service to Prabhupada. So I was only one who did not return to temple. I stayed and distributed 67 books. When I got back, I found that Karandara had told Prabhupada about me and how I had been distributing books. When I heard that, I became very enthusiastic and continued to distribute books every day that week. In Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada took these morning walks either at the shore of Pacific Ocean or in Cheviot Hill Park. Every morning, few disciples would join him, as well as Thodam Singh, a PhD candidate in organic chemistry at the University of California. Srila Prabhupada would regularly discuss with Dr. Singh the scientific theory of lives originating from matter. Day after day, Prabhupada would expose Darwin's theory as foolish and unscientific. The sun would just be appearing on the horizon as Prabhupada and a small group of disciples walked. The air would be chilly, and Srila Prabhupada would wear his hooded saffron overcoat while his disciples, wearing sweaters or wool chadars, followed him, listening and asking questions. Most of the conversation, however, would be between Prabhupada and Dr. Singh, who played the role of materialistic scientist. Dr. Singh would present atheistic arguments, and Srila Prabhupada would defeat them with the scripture and logic. I say to scientists, Prabhupada said, if life originated from chemicals, and if your science is so advanced, then why can't you create life biochemically in your laboratories? On one of these morning walks, the older devotees introduced Rameshwara to Prabhupada. And at the devotee's request, Rameshwara began telling Srila Prabhupada about book distribution. He mentioned that sometimes distributors would meet impersonalists and convince them to buy a copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada stopped and turned gravely to Rameshwara. What do you say to them? He asked. Rameshwara told Prabhupada some of his technique for selling a book. After a few moments, Prabhupada said, our men need to study our books also. On morning, Tripurari accompanied Prabhupada on his walk. Prabhupada said little as they walked up and down the beach. Only when they were walking back towards the car did one of the devotees mention, Prabhupada, Tripurari is here. Prabhupada turned and smiled. Ah, how's the book's distribution going? He asked. This was Tripurari's first time to speak directly with his spiritual master, and he wanted to say many things at once. In nervous enthusiasm, he began blurting out his realization. Prabhupada interrupted. This is the best service for humanity. And he quoted from Bhagavad Gita. There will never be a devotee more dear to me than he who preaches this message. With the exception of Rameshwara's and Tirupurari's brief encounters with Prabhupada, none of the book distributors in Los Angeles had any personal exchanges or meeting with their spiritual master. But the closeness of their relationship with him was not dependent on physical proximity. Tripurari. My association with Srila Prabhupada was always more or less in separation and in the field. While many of the older devotees were trained personally by Prabhupada, I never got that training. I was trained by Srila Prabhupada more from within my own heart. I think that's the case with all of our book distributors. They have a very intimate sense of feeling for Prabhupada, but they never had much personal contact. Their intimacy and real sense of knowing Prabhupada very closely was because of that service which Prabhupada said was his life and soul, seeing that books went out. Srila Prabhupada liked to sit in his garden with its roses, jasmine, azaleas, honeysuckle, mint, silver lace, wine, marigolds, and banana trees. And he liked the sound of the fountain. The small compound with its lawn, flowers, bushes, sit for Srila Prabhupada, was surrounded by high cinder block walls. When Prabhupada received special guests, devotees would bring chairs for them, but Prabhupada disciples would always sit on thin mats on the lawn, and look up at Srila Prabhupada on his elevated seat. The neighborhood was quieter and more peaceful in the evening, and Prabhupada could hear the kirtana in the temple and cars passing along Venice Boulevard. Men's shouts from the nearby karate schools were a disturbance Prabhupada had come to tolerate. For an hour or more, Prabhupada would sit listening to a reading from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, while around him on the grass, sharing the transcendental moment, sat his disciples. Prabhupada was fully satisfied to hear Krishna Lila, and he would sit erect, head held high, in a meditative mood. It was only an informal group, but his presence made the occasion very special, momentous. From time to time, he would interrupt the reader to comment. Night would fall, he would end the reading and leave the garden, walking on the gravel path past the main temple building and up to his second floor suite. Srila Prabhupada so much liked his Los Angeles garden that he decided he wanted one like it at his Mayapur headquarters. Quote, with regard to Mayapur house, I may suggest you make one roof garden. On the top of the house, you can put soil of 6 inches and then plant so many tulsi plants and nice bushes. I like the garden very much. Just like here in Los Angeles temple, they have made one very nice garden for me. I sit there every evening. So please also make a first class Mayapur garden. At about 10 in the evening, Srila Prabhupada would usually go into his bedroom and lie down. His servant Srutakriti would massage his legs, and Prabhupada would then close his eyes. Meanwhile, Rameshwara would be waiting at the bottom of the stairs, hoping that secretary or servant would come down with a message from Prabhupada. Rameshwara. I was too afraid to go into Srila Prabhupada's room, so I would be waiting at the bottom of the stairs, just hanging there, just waiting for one word. Srila Prabhupada would often say something, and it would be passed to me. Then every morning, the Sankirtan devotees would just surround me and ask, what did he say? They would be begging for some nectar. It was an intense experience. We felt that we were all having a special direct connection with Prabhupada. While waiting outside Prabhupada's door, I would be in a transcendental bliss, just thinking how we were distributing books as an offering of pure love for our spiritual master. This was the first time that devotees were going to the airports. No one else in the moment was going to an airport except the devotees in Los Angeles. So it was something very special. No one was doing big books in the quantity that we were. At one point, when Srila Prabhupada saw one of my daily Sankirtan reports, he commented, who's Rameshwar? Day after day, Srila Prabhupada was seeing these ecstatic reports sprinkled with nectarian quotes from his Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter that had just been published. He realized that these disciples were in ecstasy, and so he asked, who are they? He could see we loved Sankirtana. It was not an artificial burden or that we were struggling. He could see that there did not seem to be any struggle. It was like fun, bliss, ecstasy, and the whole philosophy was there. We were completely tuning into the Chaitanya Charitamrita philosophy that Lord Chaitanya descends with his confidential associates to spread the love of God, but does not discriminate who is fit candidate and who is not. These were the verses we were putting into daily letter. This was our mood, and Prabhupada loved it. From Srutakriti's point of view, the evening massage was a very special time because Srila Prabhupada seemed free of the pressure of the day's management. Shruta Kurti would bring several night blooming jasmine flowers from the garden, and Prabhupada would place the fragrant blossoms near his nose during the massage. He would even quieter and more relaxed than during Krishna book reading. There was no business to attend to. He had done a hard day's work, although he would be rising after only 3 hours rest. He now lay back and wrapped in thought or chanting softly. Some evening, Srila Prabhupada would delay the massage and slowly walk back and forth in his bedroom, chanting on his beads. Or he would sit on his bed and chant. But on most night, he would lie on his back while Sutakurti massaged his legs. If he conversed with his servant at all, it would not be about his con management. He might look at a picture on the wall and say, how beautiful Krishna is. How could they not be attracted to Krishna? Or sometimes he would talk about his childhood and other informal topics. But even at this relaxed time, he relished hearing the Sankirtana results. So he would sometimes read Rameshwara's daily report or simply say something about preaching Krishna consciousness. One night after reading Rameshwara's ecstatic daily Sankirtan report, Prabhupada felt moved to write a message on back of the report. Dating the paper April 20, 1973, he wrote, quote, my dear boys and girls, you are working so hard for broadcasting the glories of Lord Krishna's lotus feet, and thus my Guru Maharaj will be so pleased upon you. Certainly my Guru Maharaj will bestow his blessings 1,000 times more than me, and that is my satisfaction. All glories to the assembled devotees. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and we everyone should go with the Sankirtan party as soon as possible. So we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Satsrup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. So anybody has any question, correction, chastisement, realization? So dear devotees, when we read any book, we should not read the book as a novel. Just keep reading, keep reading. No, actually, we have to pause in between and think about what we just read. Because when we pause, think, meditate, that time that thing will sink in us. So sometime comments, realization needed on some great points to drive home. Uh, and that's why I have seen Sham Sundar Prabhu sometimes give his realization also in between. Right. So if you have any realization, you can note down because that is very helpful. Now I stopped putting comments while reading because I don't want to take the time of reading. Because the reading time is limited, so we want to read only. At the end, we can share any realization, if anything. But the 3 points to drive home, right? When we were reading Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj book, right, we saw that how Uddhava was saying that gopis were crying and he was not able to stop them because he said, how do I console? So that reminded me other day, my son lost his toy and he was crying. And I was asking why you're crying. He said, I lost my toy, which he got on his birthday. And he was not able to find the whole house. So he was crying. And one point I would say that the the degree you are crying for your toy, if you cry for Krishna, Krishna will be so pleased. So, so material thing we say that, hey, don't cry, cry for Krishna. But if let's say my son started crying for Krishna, and how do I stop him? So, it just reminded me of how Uddhava was thinking that if gopis were crying for Krishna, he cannot say, "Hey, don't cry for Krishna." That's offense because you are putting impediment in the spiritual progress of any devotee, right? But the crying for Krishna is very difficult. We can cry for our son, daughter, or any mishappening, but cry for Krishna is very difficult. And sometime in front of deities also cry happen. A tear comes when we come to temple. Sometimes tear comes, but most of the time that tear is because of all the tragedies, struggle we are doing in our life. At least I'm speaking about myself. I'm not speaking about all of you, but I'm speaking about myself. Those tragedies, struggles, what we had, right? Because of that, we we get that. But tear for love, what gopis are having, is very rare. And that is only possible the more and more we read, the more and more we chant Krishna's name, and the more we have in Krishna's association and totally absorbed in that, then at some point, tear of love will come. That time, genuinely feel the separation of Krishna, what gopis were feeling, that one. So that was one point. The second point, what Prabhupada said, is the book distribution. Uh, it really give a joy actually. So those who have not tried book distribution, try that. It really gives you so much joy when you distribute a book or you give a book to anybody. So much joy. So whenever you have an opportunity, give a book. Even you can keep extra book at home. Anybody's birthday, you go put a Krishna book, or you are going to an event and you have to give some gift. You can put one Bhagavad Gita or some yoga book, right? Small books of Prabhupada. So every visit, everywhere you are visiting is successful. Like if you are going to a conference or something, right? Of course, materially your conference may get successful, but think that, hey, how can spiritually also this material conference can be successful? So you're going to conference or attending meeting, take some books, and then talk casually and then give it to them. So that reminds me when I was going to Washington I took a Uber. So there was a soft music getting played in the car. And I just gave a comment to that lady, hey, this music is so soothing, peaceful, like spiritual. And then immediately said, yeah, I like spiritual music. So I had the book and I say, I have a spiritual book for you because you are the right candidate. And she was so happy. She said, oh, wow, I love such book. So she got the book. Then another Uber driver I took, there that person was saying, my God, there's so many difficulties here. We earn so much, we give in taxes. For insurance, I don't use whole year, but still I'm paying. So many dissatisfaction. Then I say, I have a book for you, and that will answer your questions. He said, oh, really? And then he took the book. So somehow or other, right, whatever life we are living, moments we are living or going to somewhere, we have to see, hey, I'm going for 30 minutes somewhere, or I'm going to do this 30-minute meeting some people. Can I spiritualize this activity? Like I give some book to somebody or talk about something about God, right? So that will spiritualize the activity. So that way our consciousness will be more and more absorbed. And then, it was so astonishing that Prabhupada wrote these books and he was hearing his own books, like Krishna book. He was telling a disciple to recite these books, right? Isn't it amazing? He wrote these books and then he himself was hearing. Because that itself says he coming from Golok Vrindavan. And he wanted to hear more and more about Krishna, whatever he wrote. And that also proves that the Krishna book stories he has written, that is the precise stories that was actually happened, scene by scene, whatever he has written, because he has seen it. Because he was in Golok Vrindavan, he has seen it, scene by scene, the full script, even the dialogues were actual. It was not like made it. That is precisely what has happened when Krishna was on this planet. So, so just thought came my mind, but I will not share during the reading, but I will share maybe at the end if anything comes. Anybody has any other thought before we stopped and continue chanting?
Prabhu, what was the third thing that you wanted to say? The thought you said book distribution, and the first I already forgot how you like
Yeah.
that. But what
So,
was the thought that you wanted to share?
so book distribution, the one thought is that when we do the book distribution, you will feel a great ecstasy. Okay. And, not to give my example, but if by sharing some experience, if somebody get empowered, because I used to do the book distribution at the temple every Sunday, book table. Now I stopped because I got the Sunday school service. So that 1 hour I teach children at Sunday school. But I used to have the every Sunday the table. And then more and more book distribution I used to do on Sunday evening when people are lined up for the prasadam. And I go in the line and then explain one or two lines. And then when somebody take the book, great ecstasy of happiness I feel in my heart. Okay, I don't know why, but I feel. And later on, I realized because when you distribute the book, Prabhupada becomes happy and Krishna become happy, and actually the whole Guru Parampara become happy. So you feel a great happiness. So that was one point. The second point I was about to say about book distribution is that if you read the book or distribute the book, the impact is same. When I say impact is same, that when you let's say you get less time to read, but you distribute more books, you still spiritually advance. And actually, that time you will read less and you will understand more. On the other hand, if you read also in parallel, your book distribution will definitely improve because when we do the book distribution, sometimes you have to face many arguments. And that time, if you can defend those arguments with the justification you read in the books, the other person get influenced. So many times I have seen that when somebody asks question and if you are able to answer, they get convinced and they take the book. And they many times tell you that thank you for refuting my argument. Sometimes when their argument get defeated, they are happy because they knew those arguments are not good. Because sometimes they heard those arguments from their friends and they were not able to answer. So they ask us. And when we are able to answer, that time they are very happy and then take the book. So so reading, distributing the books have same impact if you can do it. Yeah. That was one point. And then book distribution, the whole group parampara get pleased when we distribute the book. And you will feel, I mean, there are something, right? We cannot explain in words, but a person has to experience when they distribute the book. So, like there was a Rath Yatra a few days before in Houston, and we were having Bhagavad Gita. So I was telling my children, take this Bhagavad Gita, whoever comes out to the home, right? Just go near and then tell that, hey, we have very good spiritual science book. Tell them spiritual science book. And then they were able to distribute a couple of books. And my children were so happy, right? Just by handing over with a few seconds of interaction, they were so happy that, oh, I distributed Prabhupada books. So, and that's the goal of human life, to be happy. Like Prabhupada asked, what is the goal of human life? To be happy. But these are the means to be happy, actually. So that was the thought. Does this answer your question, Nadir?
Um, well, I thought it's gonna be the thought thing gonna be some about something else, but this is a very good realization. So thank you.
Mhm. Yeah. And there are many things, Mataji, about book distribution. We can go on, uh, you know, talking about uh, Book distribution comes, because I learned it from one of the senior devotee. And when I first time distributed, when the first time he gave me the Bhagavad Gita in a Discovery Green in an Independence Day, and he told me, "Hey, take this book and just go and distribute." I was not able to distribute even one book, but what I was when I come back, he told me, "You are successful." I say, "How? I did not even distribute one book." He said, "Did you show this book to people?" I say, "Yeah, I showed it. I flipped the book. I flipped the pages." He says that itself is satisfying because you opened the spiritual account of that person. That person has never seen such book, but just by seeing it, the spiritual account is got open. So in some next lifetime, that person, or maybe in this next lifetime, with some other senior devotee, he will get the book. So yeah, I mean, sometime thought comes, but if more thought, I will share Mataji later.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So, dear devotees, my humble request, when if you are hearing sincerely, meditate on these points, because that's how we have to understand, not just by reading and keep reading, finishing the book. No, but what did we learn? And if you get some points when you hear, write down somewhere, because those points are gems, and that will help you to progress in spiritual life. So that is my 2 cents realization. Now we'll stop here and we'll continue chanting.